Where is it? 1 minute. I cannot find it. 1 second. Here we go. Number 1, terrain. So this kind of is similar to the word land. It's a little bit different from land. It's more talking about like the geography of the land. Is it a mountain? Is it a field? Is it flat? Is it hilly? So when he uses it, he's talking about the city Pittsburgh. He says it has a lot of interesting terrain. So a lot of interesting, some of it is concrete and flat. Some of it is, as he mentioned, near the river, like that. Just different terrain. It's referring to the geography of a place. You could sometimes see this word sometimes used in a different way. They might say, this is his terrain, meaning, I don't know about this field, he is the expert. Kind of like that. That is your terrain, meaning you're the one who knows that land, you're the one who knows that issue or that topic or something like that.
When we talk about territory, it's just about the land of country? Or
the word territory?
Yeah, territory.
Yeah, that's going to be used a lot with, we're talking about countries and whose territory this is, whose land this is. Like I said, so terrain, territory. Territory is more just similar to the word land. Terrain is a little bit more than that, actually talking about the layout of the land and the shape of the land, kind of like that. Number 2, outreach. So a lot of times you will see this with the word outreach program. What we saw is an outreach program. He's called an outreach expert. So an outreach, it's reaching out to the community, to the to society, and trying to help people, through social welfare and whatever. Community outreach. It could be anything, so many different things. It could be something like this. It could be something like trying to inform people about some disease, not always related to healthcare, trying to help children to do some after-school activity instead of just hanging out and maybe getting in the gang or something like that. Community outreach, helping single parent or single mothers or anything where the word reach is kind of mean reaching out and helping people like that. A lot of times you see outreach program. He calls himself an outreach expert. So an outreach expert is going to be like some type of social worker, Yeah.
So it's used always as positive, or?
Yeah, it's never going to be anything negative.
Volunteer job.
Volunteer, similar to that. Volunteer is maybe a little broader. You can volunteer to do many things. Like I said, the outreach programs have many things as well. Volunteer is maybe even broader. You can volunteer to clean up trash, right? If you're cleaning up trash, is that a community outreach program? Not as much. Community outreach sounds more like you're dealing with the people, right? You're reaching out to the people and the community and society. Volunteer is a little bit broader, but very similar. Volunteer could be so many different things, outreach as well. Pacer. Now, when I heard him talking in the video, I think he does say pacer, but pacer is just slang for the more common term pacemaker. Pacemaker is more common. When you hear the video, he calls it a pacer. Probably he is a doctor, and that's just kind of slang, short term for pacemaker. I had to listen to it once or twice just to double check. I always hear it called pacemaker. Pacemaker, do you guys know what a pacemaker is? I'm not exactly sure what it is. Kind of like artificial heart pumper or something like that. It helps your heart. You don't know that one.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I'm doing the race,
yes,
right?
racing, yes.
Yeah. So Actually, I remember looking at the magazine. They do have someone. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's someone who's running, like helping to set the pace.
Yes.
But that's not what he's talking about. No. He says, let me look at the dialogue. He says the pacemaker's too tight. The skin's too tight on the pacer. It's in your body. Like my grandmother might have one. She's 90 years old. I think she does. I'm not sure. Your heart is. It's not an artificial heart, but it's helping your heart. It's like a little help. Maybe I'm not a doctor, so I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I know it's your heart. And pace is kind of like beat, right? So pacemaker, it is helping your heart beat. It's a little tiny machine that is inside of you, though. And then I think
the body or outside the body?
inside. That's why it says the skin's too tight, meaning because it's inside your skin. I'm not 100% sure where exactly it is. Is it attached to your heart? I think it probably is. It's with your heart and helping your heart beat. It's that little machine. Number 4, haunt. Maybe you guys all know haunt, haunted house. A ghost can haunt you, so there it is, a verb. Haunted is the adjective. It is used differently, you know. Haunting also is a word you say. If you see some really haunting images, you know. There's one documentary I remember, very, very famous documentary, where they're showing the World War II concentration camps, where all the people were dying and starving. So they show all these really horrible images. You could call those kind of haunting images, because those images kind of stay in your mind and they haunt you, you know, like you will never forget that. You're not really scared by it, but it's kind of almost scarred you in some way, scarred your mind. So if something is haunting, it's kind of disturbing. Not the literal meaning of disturb, but disturbing your mindset, distressing, troublesome, like that. So how does he use it? He probably says, you see some haunting. If you could help all these homeless people and these people, you probably run into some really haunting stuff. I don't see exactly where he looks like it, but we will see that later. And number 5, sense of humor. This one's not too hard to understand. If you have a sense of humor, you can appreciate a joke, right? You can, maybe if I tell some joke, everyone else laughs, but Zhong is just no sense of humor. You don't say. Sometimes they might say he has a good sense of humor, but it's not something bad sense of humor, good sense of humor. You might see that used, but more so just he has a sense of humor or doesn't have. It's something that you have or you don't have. You appreciate jokes and can laugh at a joke, or some people can't. And number 6, take home message. I think you can understand this one as well. The main message to take home from some story or from something. This example sentence is, I was hoping to hear some take home message in the movie, but there wasn't any. It was just a movie. There was no take home message. And he says, maybe here the take home message is that you matter as a human being. That's the message, the main message, take home message. The one thing, if you remember one thing that you take home with you, right? That you keep with you, that is what you should remember.